Hi, welcome to Manifest Gratitude Podcast with your host, Eleanor Murkey. Today, we will be talking to Patricia Brown, and our theme for the day is our conversation with Patricia. And we're talking about how gratitude permeates every part of our life and living. Welcome. Welcome, Patricia, to our podcast.
Thank you for having me, Eleanor.
I am so excited about you being here. I know you have quite a few things that you constantly keep in motion. You're writing and different things that you're doing. So before we get started, I would like for you to introduce yourself to the people. Tell us a little bit who you are and what you do.
My name is, like she said, Patricia Brown, and my podcast name and media name is Simply Pat, Be Free. One of the reasons why it's called that is because so many people in this life, as myself, has been through trauma and traumatic experiences and has had to face those circumstances of building yourself back up and understanding that it takes a lot of self-care, gratitude towards oneself. And I do function in the arena of life coaching. I do work with people, whether it's teenagers, women, from all walks of life, to inspire and to encourage each and every one of them that there is a way of progress. We just have to take it one step, one day at a time. So that's basically some of the things I do. I am a mother, I am a friend, and I'm a life coach.
All righty. That's really exciting, and it's good to have you as a part of this conversation because you and I have spoken before and how gratitude became a part of something that I wanted to do and continue to share gratitude, express my own gratefulness in life and living that came about during the pandemic. And we moved through that, and I have continued my different posts about gratitude and now talking to people about gratitude. But I am really interested in hearing what you think of gratitude and the need for gratitude in times like these.
In times like these, I got to be very honest and transparent that some days for me is tough. It's tough because sometimes you look at the circumstances that you've gone through and that you are currently going through, as all of us are. For example, a lot of grief from a lot of loss, I'll say within this year. And one of the things I just have to say that if it wasn't for gratitude and being grateful and being thankful that I had an opportunity to spend time with relatives and friends who have passed on, that's what carries me to know that we as people have an opportunity to still push forward and to walk in the purpose that we were created for. And so I am thankful in spite of the pain I feel, in spite of the heaviness, and in spite of how everything in this global economy is going as well.
Yes.
And I'm just grateful that for the little things, I have a roof over my head, I have
Amen.
Food on the table, I have my family members and friends. So I am grateful in this season for the simple things in life, not the excessive, not the huge, the simple things. I just woke up and I was able to breathe. I woke up, I was able to see. I woke up, I was able to move my arms. And as I'm aging, I'm realizing it gets tough a little bit with these arms.
Tell me about
But
it.
but I'm pushing through and I'm still saying, thank God I'm able to be able to move my arms and my legs and my feet. So I'm grateful for the little things and simple things in life.
Yes, we do that when we talk about gratitude. We're talking about what we're thankful for. But I wonder, do we ever think or have you thought about some of the journeys that you've been through over the last few years about grace, the grace that's in gratitude? How do you reflect, or do you reflect or even think about it because it's just happening?
The grace of gratitude.
Just the
Um,
grace. We talk
yeah,
about gratitude, but I'm
yes,
thinking that it's really the grace. We're thankful, but it's the grace that has brought us or that we sail upon.
yes,
Any we
yes. One of the things I can share is that 3 years ago, I was homeless. And I know that in those particular times in life, that it's very discouraging. And I've learned in every area of my life is that the grace is you see my smile, grace is love.
like a
And
companion.
to have grace and to is really whew, it's a
Hmm.
very powerful word to me, because grace is following me in spite
Mm.
of me being in the situations that I'm in. As someone who went through homelessness and who was ashamed to some degree because I've never been in that kind of situation. But at the same time, if I had not went through that situation, I wouldn't understand the depth of grace, the depth of love that follows me. So there's another saying in the word of God that says, mercy and grace will follow you. And so that's how I look at the trials of life. It took the grace of God to follow me in order for me to know that it's gonna get better. I have to stop looking at the now and look at that if grace and love is following me, things are going to change because it's a mindset.
It,
And I'm grateful that God has given me a mindset to be grateful, because the love that is shown towards me through people when I was going through this time of homelessness, it brought me to know that love casts out so many things. Love is a powerful word. So to me, with love and grace and cup together, gratitude is something that I must live by, because it's they all go together.
they do. They do. They all work. And I think one of the things we're talking about gratitude is almost talking about the other side of the journey when you're in gratitude, but also on the journey, as you just mentioned, having that feeling of grace and being thankful in every step, regardless of where you are. And I think in conversations, I don't think, but in conversations that we've had in the past, I constantly felt that, because all through your difficult journey, there was never a time during that experience that we had a conversation that anybody listening to you on the conversation would never know
Yes.
what you were going through.
Yes.
What you went through never showed up in your conversations, in your presentation, in the lifting of your family and keeping that intact. Gratitude is really an everyday thing that we experience, and I really appreciate that your story, because I think that will help people, because sometimes when people are going through difficult times, they have this sense of shame. And that can rob you. I don't know what you think about that. Because if you like the shame or give it the power and you lose that connection to being grateful, that it can take you down. You have any thoughts or comments on that?
I'll just say that as a person who went through that situation, you can lose your power if you allow yourself to stay in that place of
Hmm.
despair.
Yes.
And I can be honest, I was there. I was in a place of despair. I was down in my spirit, depressed, just trying to figure out, what is this? How do I get through this? But the one thing that I do know is that when we as humans, when we surrender our problems and to God and just give it to him
Right.
and stop carrying every load. And that's why you didn't hear me complain. You
Hmm.
didn't hear me get, I got frustrated, but
Yes.
I learned to cast all that frustration onto
Hmm.
God. I've learned to just give it over. And that doesn't mean I'm not human. That doesn't mean I'm not going to feel. That doesn't mean I'm not going to get discouraged. That does not mean that I'm not going to fall into a place of even complacency, because that's just human nature. But the thing is to know that the better is coming, the better is on the way. And that's where gratitude to me steps in. Gratitude is saying, I'm saying thank you in spite of what I see. I
Hmm.
don't see no light at the end of the tunnel. I'm just following this path because this is where I am. This is where I am. That's one way that you can come through whatever it is that you're going through. And the shame, it didn't really bother me because I know that it's helping someone by being transparent about how I'm feeling, about what I'm going through, about this urgency to want to have a place, this urgency to want to be able to just to be able to have my own space. So it has to be a heart thing for me. So in that, once I give that heart thing over to God and just know that I just believe it's going to get better. And I believe Thanksgiving has to do with belief.
Hmm.
So that's where I stand on the shame and all that. That to me is just a formality to keep you bound so that you don't push forward and move into whatever that is that we are all called to do. We all have a purpose. We all do. So I'm just believing that being thankful along the journey brings you to power, being a powerful individual, because that's why some of us go through all the stuff we go through, because when you stand firm on that thankfulness, that gratitude, that love, that's just a part of the journey. But I'm thankful for every struggle because I wouldn't be who I am.
Without that journey. And one thing you did say that struck me was the shame, because if we allow shame, I know it's personally, it's not an easy thing just to say the words. It's a part of the journey and a part of what you're doing or have to go through to get out of wherever you are. But shame can paralyze, because when you start feeling a sense of shame, I think it bounds you, it keeps you from moving forward.
Yeah.
And if you consider the things, regardless of what you're going through, and I think about all the little things you can be grateful for, the breathing, the seeing, the movement, that you can still get up and put one foot in front of the other. There's so many things in gratitude. They don't have to, when we're talking about manifest gratitude, not talking about huge things. They can be huge things. It's the little things that give you to the next step. Because when you were saying earlier about show up, There was a song by the Gaithers that they were saying, "You put food on my table and show up when my bills are due." So
Mhm.
those kind of things, and moving through your experience of gratitude and the things that you express, it keeps you moving, and you have different projects that you just continue to do, like your Simply Pat,
Mhm.
Be Free. Now, that really strikes me when you say be free, because you said, and when I see it in writing, it means I just conjure up all kinds of thoughts about the be free. And has that led to any other projects? You're constantly working or doing something. Any projects that you're working on right now, or have,
Actually, I am. I just came out with my podcast, Uncovered Scars Can Heal.
oh, tell
Because
us about
in
that.
Oh, okay, because in that Simply Pat Be Free, you can't be free until you're healed. And a lot of people, whether they be 14, 12, 11, all the way up till 70, 80, 90, 100, however, still walk around with a bandage on because they have not released whatever that is, whatever scar that is. And I'm saying that it's a daily process because there are still things that I'm healing from, that I'm recovering from, unknowingly sometimes and knowingly, meaning that there are so many things that we deal with that we were traumatized by. Because I know I've been through a lot of traumatic experiences, and I understand that those things can cause an effect in our relationships, in our marriages, in friendships, in relationships with our children, and it just relationships, period. Sometimes you come in contact with people you've never met before, and all of a sudden you feel they did something and they probably didn't, and it's still something within yourself you're struggling with, but we tend to deflect it on other people instead of putting it on us and evaluating our own scar. Where's this coming from? What
Mm-hmm.
happened? Something happened when I was younger. What was it? And these are the things that Uncovered Scars is trying to drop into the lives of people to have them see and examine the issues that are affecting not just them only, but it's affecting people around them without them even knowing it. Because sometimes you don't even know what's going on with you. You assume because I call it, you're used to putting on the act of being this person instead of being who you are and who we are created to be. You can't be who you are created to be if you don't know who you are underneath the band-aid.
Right.
Underneath that band-aid, it holds so much pain, so much anger, so much hate, so much jealousy, so much envy. It's so many things that people,
Need to
they,
uncover.
like I said, they deflect it onto others because they're trying to get it off of them because they don't want to deal with those scars. And until we get a better understanding that these scars can cause our health to decline if we allow it to get big like that. So that's why Uncovered Scars is going to hit those areas for as far as podcasting.
It's absolutely wonderful that you can share that, talk about it, and that's one of the wonderful things about this new phenomenon of podcasts, because not only you can share with what you want shared or things that's not being talked about, but you literally can help people in the different formats of a podcast, talking to people. And there are situations where in podcasts where people can literally call in or have a live podcast where you can help. And I think it's absolutely wonderful. And I think it's wonderful to have you that have gone through your journey and still reaching back or standing flat foot to help other people on their journey, what they're going through, because you've been an activist, a coach, a poet. I love poetry and people that are doing poetry. Do you have any? I know Uncover the Scars. You just told me about that. Any other things that when I talk to you, it's like an octopus. You got a lot of things going on at the time, but I'm really excited about the Uncovered Scars. Anything else you're doing or want to share?
Right now, I'm trying to get a support group off the ground. It's tough because to get a group of people who you don't know to come
Mm,
together and share is not easy.
yeah.
They rather be one on one. I rather in this season have it more open because I think the more open the discussion is, the more it'll start breaking some things off of people.
Mm,
If someone shares their injury, and then someone else probably share theirs as well. So I'm trying to get people to be more transparent
mm.
versus more private.
Yes, it's a community.
Yeah, because we can't. It's fine if you need the counsel, if you need the coaching, if you need the help. That's fine, but it will also help someone else in our community
Yeah,
to overcome whatever that is. But
yeah.
that is one of the things I am working on is a community support group and just one day at a time, just trying to,
One day at a time.
yep.
Yeah. One piece of grace, one thank you at a time. And I really thank you for taking the time to be on this podcast, Manifest Gratitude. And your story is certainly an example of how you can manifest in your own pursuit of life, living, and happiness.
Yes.
And I'm glad to hear about taking out the scars. And I'm glad you're going to use that also in a podcast.
Mhm.
Because one thing about this new medium that we're on, you can reach so many people in doing podcasts. Thank you. Good. I wish you well with your podcast. I thank you
Mhm.
for being on mine.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
have any last minute comments or words as we come to a close of this one?
All I really wanted to say is that as a people, we just all need to just work on ourselves. And I think the more we work on ourselves, it'll take your eyes off of other people's issues, problems, and just help us to dissolve the things within ourselves so we can be unified and
Right.
help one another. And that's what's lacking, I believe, today. It's so much frustration, so much division going on in not just the community by itself, but all around the world.
All over. All
It's,
over.
it's all over. And if you can just help that our neighbors, and it's just a lot going on right now.
Yes, yes, it is.
It's a lot. But if we could just help that one child, that one teenager, that one elderly person, I believe that is something is better than nothing.
That's absolutely true. And again, I want to thank you, and I want to thank you all for tuning in to Manifest Gratitude Podcast with your host, Eleanor Murkey. And thank you again, Ms. Patricia.
Okay.
And I will see you all on the next podcast.